Very long-term subscribers to this channel will remember that not long after starting out, I made a series in which I took a look at the greatest players in every position from goalkeepers to centre forwards, culminating in my all-time 11 and 23-man squad. Now, the channel wasn't very big back then, so those videos didn't get a tremendous number of views, but more recently, I had the idea of a similar, yet very different series to run throughout this period of social distancing that many of you will be experiencing. Rather than the greatest players, this is a series concerned with the most influential and important players. Alan Shearer, for example, was among the most effective centre-forwards we have seen in the English game, but I wouldn't say he had a significant impact or caused a real shift in the way in which the position was played and its future course. If anything, in the case of Shearer, he was a bit of a throwback to a more old-school number 9 who have become rarer and rarer in the years since. Gilbert Oswald-Smith, on the flip side, was not nearly as talented as Alan Shearer, but pioneered the centre-forward position in an enormous way, and would therefore be a more suitable candidate for this series. In the case of goalkeepers, the likes of Gianluigi Buffon, Gordon Banks or Sepp Maier were great goalkeepers, but not revolutionary ones. Meanwhile, someone like Peter Schmeichel did actually have quite a new and unorthodox approach to the position, but it didn't really lead to a string of similarly successful keepers who sought to replicate his style, thus rendering it not enormously influential either. I point this out only because if this idea does prove to be popular, and this video does become part of a larger series, I will be able to revert them back to this video to understand my criteria. Here are the 7 most influential goalkeepers of all time. Edwin van der Sar. Getting us started in this 7 is one of the most modern goalkeepers in this 7, and also one of the most talented. Edwin van der Sar didn't quite make the cut in terms of the 7 greatest goalkeepers of all time a couple of years back, making the honourable mentions, but he goes one better this time out. Van der Sar stood at 6 foot 5.5 inches tall, but other than that, he didn't really look like most of the goalkeepers who preceded him. Thin and lanky, there was a gangly quality to Van der Sar that might have led first-time viewers into believing that he was somehow weak or fragile. That most certainly wasn't the case, and they would have been in for a further shock when they saw the Dutchman's talents with the ball at his feet. Despite his size, Van der Sar was among the finest technicians and passers of a ball between the sticks throughout most of his career. It helped that Van der Sar was raised at Ajax with a very definite philosophy of playing out from the back, and he was only 24 years of age when Ajax lifted the Champions League in 1995. Van der Sar went on to star for Juventus, Fulham and Manchester United, adding a second Champions League title during his time at Old Trafford. Capped 130 times by the Netherlands, Van der Sar's impressive footwork and eagerness to play out from the back certainly left a lasting impression on the sport, and Manuel Neuer described him as one of his primary inspirations. William Falk. We step back almost exactly a century from Edwin van der Sar in 7th to William Falk in 6th. Falk, who was literally nicknamed Fatty, most assuredly was not slim or lanky. He was tall though, standing at 6 foot 4 inches, which was remarkably tall more than a century ago, when the average height in the United Kingdom was just 5 foot 8. Falk's width was even more legendary than his height, weighing in at 24 stone according to some reports at the end of his career, which is more than 7 foot former WBA heavyweight world champion boxer Nikolai Valuev. Falk was around 10 stone lighter than that at the peak of his powers in the late 1890s, when he was actually heralded for his nimbleness and reflexes. Falk spent 9 years at Sheffield United, winning a First Division title and 2 FA Cups, followed by brief stints with Chelsea and Bradford. The big man was a showman and among football's first celebrities in Britain, delighting fans with his novel approach to the position. Capped once by England in 1897, Falk's style of goalkeeping was aggressive, commanding and always forward-thinking. He would rush at oncoming centre-forwards or dive at their feet, he'd come out to meet crosses by collecting the ball or punching it out of harm's way, and he looked to put his teammates on the front foot with his powerful, driven kicks downfield. Anyone who has watched football in the more than century since knows that William Fatty Falk's innovative approach to goalkeeping has caught on, and goalkeepers are now expected to command their 6-yard box if not beyond. Gyula Grosic. Virtually everything about Hungary's golden team from the late 1940s to mid-1950s was groundbreaking, so it should come as very little surprise that their goalkeeper was too. There have been few great teams without great goalkeepers, and behind the glitz and glamour of Ferenc Puskás, Nandor Hidegkuti and Zoltán Szkibor, Hungary had a goalkeeper unlike anything most of their opponents had ever seen before. Nicknamed the Black Panther due to Hungary's distinctive all-black goalkeeper's kit, unlike Falk, Grosic was far from a man-mountain. Standing at 5'10", he was renowned for his agility, adventurousness and acrobatics. Grosic made his international debut in 1947, aged only 21, but was soon captured by the US forces in World War II whilst trying to defect from the Axis powers to the west. That earned him a temporary ban from football, but Grosic soon emerged as one of Europe's leading goalkeepers. Mainland Europe's first sweeper keeper, and arguably the world's first to really step out of the box and act as an extra defender when his team had possession of the ball, slotting in to make Hungary's fluid back three almost a back four. In the days before football was widely televised, Grosic's unorthodox approach caught almost every one of his opponents by surprise. The Black Panther was so innovative that it took some time before his style of sweeper keeping became commonplace, but his clever use of timing and positioning had an immediate impact upon the position. Manuel Neuer. The only active goalkeeper in this seven, there have been many sweeper keepers prior to Manuel Neuer, but few have popularised the role to quite the extent to which he has. Whilst other great sweeper keepers have caused others to take note, maybe borrowing elements of their game or looking to be a little more adventurous, Manuel Neuer shifted the entire landscape for goalkeepers in the 2010s. Born in Gelsenkirchen, Neuer made his name with Schalke and he started the 2010 World Cup following the tragic death of Robert Enke and an injury to René Adler. A move to Bayern Munich came in 2011 and Neuer has since won virtually every trophy there is to win in the sport, other than the European Championships. Neuer is a giant of a man who stamps down his authority on his entire box and sometimes beyond. In many respects the ultimate sweeper keeper, Neuer is first class in terms of all the traditional goalkeeping fundamentals of reflexes, handling and strength. He's also very assured with the ball at his feet, he will venture as far forward as the halfway line if he sees fit, and only very rarely is he caught out for his borderline El Loco approach. Neuer's brilliance and influence has played a major part in the rise of many other sweeper keepers. The likes of Alisson, Edison and Marc-Andre ter Stegen are among the best goalkeepers on the planet right now, and all are adventurous and excellent with the ball at their feet. Neuer's impact has been such that a goalkeeper's ability to play out from the back, as we saw with Joe Hart at Manchester City, can be enough on its own to make a manager look elsewhere. Lee Richmond-Roos. There are many goalkeepers who have been described as the world's first sweeper keeper, and obviously it is nigh on impossible to define how much sweeping you have to have done to have been a sweeper keeper, or to identify who the first player to meet that criteria was. What isn't up for debate, however, is that Lee Richmond-Roos was a goalkeeper unlike any that came before him, and very few who have succeeded him. A middle-class Welshman who studied medicine at King's College London, Roos was a man of celebrity in the late 1890s and early 1900s. They say you have to be mad to be a goalkeeper, and Roos was certainly something of an eccentric. He was one of the last remaining amateur players in the first division for a number of years, although Roos's lucrative expenses that were covered by his clubs may have made him the most generously paid player in the league. Roos was a tall man for the time at 6'1", and he liked to taunt spectators and opposition players, forever playing the clown, but all the while displaying tremendous goalkeeping ability. Roos loved to venture out of his goal at a time when goalkeepers could use their hands anywhere in their own half, and he opened football up to a very different way of viewing goalkeeping. He spent more than a decade playing for Wales and a myriad of different Football League teams, but he lost his life at the age of 38, along with 125,000 other soldiers, at the Battle of the Somme in World War I. Amadio Carrizo. The man whose recent passing inspired this video idea and potential series, Amadio Carrizo sadly died last month, but he did so at the grand old age of 93, having lived some life. I wrote a piece about Carrizo for my website back in December 2015 entitled "The Man Who Redefined Goalkeeping," and that is no exaggeration. Carrizo came along at a time when South American goalkeepers largely reflected the European influences that had brought football to their shores. Carrizo was a visionary though, and he saw the game differently. In the 1940s, he became the first goalkeeper to start wearing gloves, something that wouldn't become commonplace up until the mid to late 1960s. Carrizo was also South America's first goalkeeper who took it upon himself to regularly venture outside of his box, looking to kickstart attacks or launch counter-attacks with his distribution. The father of the El Loco style of goalkeeping, Carrizo played in a sensational all-conquering River Plate side for more than 20 years, in addition to winning 20 caps for Argentina over a 10-year span. His influence gave birth to a wave of eccentric South American goalkeepers, from Hugo Gatti and René Higuita to Jose Luis Chilavert, and his influence soon spread across continents. Lev Yashin. This may be the only 7 in this series in which the same player who topped my list of the greatest players of all time in that position also happens to be the most influential, but I believe that is the case when it comes to goalkeepers. It could be argued that no player has had as significant an impact on any position as the role Lev Yashin played in reshaping the role of a goalkeeper. Yashin was a few years younger than Carrizo, and the two played with many similar traits, but the combination of his ability and the size of the stage he played on multiplied Yashin's influence tenfold. Also nicknamed the Black Panther, Yashin made goalkeepers consider their contribution to a match across the entire 90 minutes, and not just on the rare occasions in which they were called into action. He would have been a world-class goalkeeper even if he had just stuck to the basics thanks to his size, reflexes and athleticism, but he went far beyond the fundamentals. Yashin dominated his area like no one else before him, he obsessed over his positioning, and he was always ready to come out to meet an attacker or act as an extra defender. Forwards feared him and goalkeepers revered him, and for the next 10 to 15 years, in the words of Gordon Banks, he was the model for goalkeeping. Every subsequent keeper saw Yashin as the benchmark to model themselves on and seek to emulate, in terms of both style and ability, and the position would be virtually unrecognisable were it not for the finest football that Russian football has ever produced. That is it for today's video, but very honourable mentions go to the likes of Reginald Courtenay-Welch and Jack Kelsey. Thank you all for watching, let me know in the comments if you would like to see this video made into a series, and if the video gets enough views, I might as well give it a go. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to HITC Sevens, and turn on notifications if you'd like to know whenever I've uploaded a new video.